What's up, everybody? So I had another question to follow up from the Facebook group and wanted to expand on this for others to learn about. This video is going to be about contract brewing. Um, what the hell does that mean? So as most brewers that you've probably been to and purchased beers from, they started as 99% of them, or whatever, probably more than that, is a brick and mortar location, meaning they leased or purchased a building, moved in their brewing equipment, got their licensing from the city, the city, the county, the state, and then the federal government for the brewer's notice. Um, Not necessarily in that order. It always depends on different states, of course. That's my other disclaimer for this video. I'm going to stay high level because there is different localities that would be different in different state rules, but this would be more high level, and you have to do some more digging per state as different alcohol laws differ per state. Um, so contract brewing would be you contract with a brewery and want to expand or start your business that way by burning or brewing over there. You can either brew it yourself, depending on your contract, of course, or pay their brewer to do it and use their tank space. You might have to even provide a whole fermenter, but that's better than the whole building and all that stuff like that. You still basically need the same licensing, the same insurance, the same brewer's notice. All the same licensing still applies. You just have a place to do it that is you're renting basically. It's a way to get started in the brewing world. Um, it, here's a big caveat to this one that I would keep in mind if you want to do this. You have to be able to prove to sell your beer. In Michigan, under 2,000 barrels. It started at 1,000 barrels in 2014, and now is up to 2,000 barrels. You can self-distribute if you brew anything less than that. If you are contract brewing, you are definitely brewing less than that. So different stores, maybe you have a big following on social media, you are would be able to sell that brew that way. Um, but keep that in mind when you go to do this. So if you're approaching, a 5 or 7 or 10 barrel brewery, or maybe 15 barrel brewery to do this, you might be a little bit over your head. I'd find more 1 to 3 barrel breweries to work with to create your contract brews. Now, um, has this ever worked before in the past for other breweries? I would say so. The Boston Beer Company started like this, aka Sam Adams. Their first go around was with contract brewing. In fact, they didn't start their brick and mortar location for years to come after that. In their first brewery, um, they started out with having they were in Massachusetts. They had a Pennsylvania, I believe it was Pennsylvania brewery, brew it for them, and then he would go sell it. Now Jim Cook was already a home brewer. That was his recipe, his family's recipe, and then got that perfected as well with a brewmaster that really knew his stuff, and then was able to brew it. So he still had a lot of hands-on experience in that. And then to this day, he still claims he also he tests a bottle of beer from each batch as well to keep for quality control. And that's with them brewing in-house now. So again, it's a good way to get started. There's a lot of different loopholes loopholes, but there's a lot of different red tape and then things to purchase to start a brewery. But if you can start one with contract brewing, it is a great way to get started. Um, there is other breweries I've worked with and consulted for that also do contract brewing, and they're doing fine. They're doing great. In fact, one of them is also planning on opening a brick and mortar location one day once this pandemic is over. But for now, they are still contract brewing. It's I really can't think of another way to get started in the industry without really knowing how much capacity you're going to really need. So you really need to break that down. How much do you think you could sell? Break that down to the six pack, and then work your way back up to figure out how many you need to sell. Now, again, every contract can be a little different. Do you have to use their brewers, or can you um, be involved in the process, or do they not want you involved in the process, touching their equipment? You have to respect that if that's the case. They're going to obviously let you do your own recipe, but work with that brewer as well to get a better deal on their grains, most likely. because they already get it in bulk, and then that kind of shares the shipping cost for both of you guys. It's not like going to the brew store and picking up a bag that's this big for your 5 gallon batch. You are now doing bags of grains, bags, and pounds of hops instead of ounces in most cases. So, um, and I would also go on to say, I think you should also look at how many, uh, what recipe you're going to pick. I would love to pick a couple different brews out there that I would love, but that's because I love them. I need to pick something that would also sell. So um, maybe your first thought is an IPA. I would be careful there because how many IPAs are on the shelf right now? A million. Um, Therefore, you want to pick something that's, easy and drinkable because a lot of people will go buy that beer, but you also don't want to make something so common like another IPA that you're going to have trouble selling all that beer. Then all of a sudden, 6 months later, the hops fall off, and then no one wants your beer, and then you're out, and then you think contract brewing is the worst. Really playing out. I think that's probably might be the most important part is picking a style because maybe you pick a stout or something like that that has a nice long shelf life, so you can sell that down the road if you don't sell as much as you thought you would. That's all I have today on that subject. It's a for the localities, and then for your different state laws, you have to look into that. Most are would basis on an alternate proprietorship, alternating proprietorship. So keep that in mind when you're structuring out how your business needs to be labeled and everything, because the government looks at all that as well. And then feel free to shoot any questions over to me. I'm super glad to help. It is a really different way to start a brewery, but you also need to make sure you are prepared for all your hurdles to get ready for. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and cheers.